While the best junglers in the game do dominate and create the meta, sometimes the most effective way to climb is to take something that is truly hidden OP. No one knows how to play against it, you have all the upper hand in terms of your champion's knowledge, and it's not going to get banned. Well, mostly. For these kind of junglers, I like to have a below 1.5% pick rate to mean off meta, and I really want them to be godly in their performance. That means you gotta have people in high elo that are successful, and you gotta have stats that say, hey, other people should try this out. Every year I release this around this time to help people climb their fastest and their bestest all the way to the end of the split, and I will have a few spicy picks for you in this video, as well as maybe some that you've heard of, but maybe you haven't quite tried their builds. First up, let's go with Pantheon, because they gave that W a percentage max HP buff. The value for this comes in very directly when you don't have itemization. When you're behind, ahead, whatever, this stat is always good, which is why tanks and fighters who like to build more HP and less raw damage always benefit from this. So here we have a free thinking rune page. If you truly do not want to have one singular critical muscle in your mind, you pick something like this and you pick this rune page. Honestly, this will work for 80% of junglers. One can only hope that Riot will deal with this another time. Alright, we see the ability maxes there. You're starting QWE on your first rotation, then you're maxing QWE. Please remember that the reason this champion works extremely well in this particular meta, even though he doesn't farm that quickly, is because of his dueling potential. He has Q execute damage, he's a point and click CC spell, on top of having a blocking damage mechanic on his E. This champion will reward those that have a certain understanding of, I want to apply pressure to the map, I will not let farmers farm, and I will not let gankers go unpunished. So heavy tracking into counter ganks, heavy tracking into invades, that's what you're looking for. Obviously here you are a heavy ganker overall, and once you get your items going, you build into that Eclipse, you build into your Sundered Sky, you build into your Sterak's Gauge. Your global ultimate dropping gigantic man nuts and thighs across the map is really something that laners are not going to appreciate, especially from the laner ganking angle. Now you can repeat gank really often, say shove bot lane, get a gank, do some counter jungling, and then ult them right back. These kinds of plays are where he thrives. You almost let enemy junglers do their own thing if you don't want to invade and kill them, but you really and truly snowball lanes and applying map-wide pressure, because you can honestly still clear upside, do a little grubbies, and then ult mid lane. So while you will be clearing your camps, obviously before and after all your free ganking, you're still looking to jewel around that. Just maximize your experience, focus on high-level camps versus rinsing the low-experience camps that you may have ignored for a little bit, and truly keep that pressure up. Now at the same time you would have seen, okay, Black Cleaver and Shoutout are really great items as well as the Sterak's. Between these three, decide what you want to accomplish. If you are really fed, go ahead and take that Shoutout. The rotations and the basic ability haste are absolutely nutty. If you need a bit of shred, haste, and stacking, movement speed, you want a bit of AD and HP, then the Black Cleaver can do a great job. If you are simply far ahead and want pure survivability, a little bit of tenacity, this Sterak's will do you well. But what is clear is that you can also go a GA to end and make sure that the game is an unkillable win for yourself. And if you like a bit of prowess, head to Virkayu.gg. Not only do I have a free jungle improvement resource, I also have a dedicated program with jungle video courses, jungle coaching classes, a jungle VOD library, special weekly content you'll see nowhere else. All of this available through a premium jungle Discord, which is highly active, a huge community that help each other climb using my jungle program and courses. As we have seen by everybody hitting their peak rank goals in Split 1 and Split 2 of Season 14 as fast as possible. So to climb faster than everybody you know and to jungle diff every game you play, head to Virkayu.gg or click the link in the description below. Now before we get into the more sexy picks that have a bit more damage, let's talk about the Dr. Mundo tech. This champion is one that I promoted a couple years ago after the rework when he was truly hidden OP. I was one of 3 people on high elo with him in 2022 driving the builds before, they destroyed him for about 18 months with that stupid mini rework of the rework. But here we are 2 years later, thriving and diving and fisting and farming, and honestly, you're not going to be something like back in the day. You're not going to have as much of that dueling potential that you see in top lane, for example. We are really focused a lot more on conservative heartsteel and tank itemization. We want to do a little bit of healing from Unending Despair. We want to amplify all of our healing with Spirit Visage, and then you can adapt your tank itemization thereafter. Yes, there are other variations that you can go on the champion. For example, going a bit more into the Titanic and Warmog's tech, but even though your damage is truly insane, it's something where you're gonna notice, oh wow, I'm really squishy, my healing is significantly reduced, and it's a great snowball mechanic, but overall, I recommend just the default way, map control, sequence it up, and obviously understand your pressure points. That cleaver does current max HP damage. It is unrelenting with the approach velocity and the rune set. If you can chain hit that, you're gonna have a lot of free kills. And people always understand why not last stand here. Well, because we have that extra damage at the end with our E, the blunt force trauma. We want to smack people and really have that threshold go a little bit higher. And also, obviously, it's great when you want to just hit someone with a briefcase when they're about to die. I will say fleet footwork is by far the best way to go, and obviously a couple years ago we had scaling. Missing HP became higher AD, so lethal tempo was something truly magnificent. Now sadly that mechanic is gone because they got some casual guy to kind of float by and do these changes, but the lethal tempo now, the new one we have, does actually do a little bit of work into more melee compositions where you don't need that stickability and healing in the fleet footwork. However, as default, please go that. The goal for Mundo is, you want to farm full clear. We're gonna go Q, E, Q again. You can go W second, but I like the double Q. The current HP is nutty for your first clear. You can reverse clear against invaders. Just be more intelligent about how you pick jewels. You can really take it to a lot of champions, but there are a lot of matchups where you will just feel uncomfortable. You're not looking to force things as Mundo. It's a really chill playstyle. Sequence, get 6, get the grubs, get the dragon. Only rotate to ganks when there's an 80 to 90% chance you can really clean something up. Obviously, during downtime between your farming, yes, that's when we want to look to invade a little bit. If you are strong enough, you really can just walk at enemy junglers and kill them and take them out of the game. Even if you might not be able to kill them straight up, you can chunk them and push them out. Mundo is really a limit testing champion, and by that I mean understanding what those limits are, and that comes from experience and figuring out how much you can tank and heal with your W gray health as well as your ultimate, and then falling back in and out of fights using Warmog reprocs if that's something you buy later on the build. It is truly one of the most rewarding hidden OP junglers you can main, because once you know what Mundo can do and nobody else does, it's almost like you're in a mood of your own, a vibe of your own, and it's just such a good time. Most of the time you'll see Mundo is really weird. Your KDAs might be lower, your KP might be lower, but your map control is king, your dragons are free as hell, and obviously once you get itemization, the biggest thing about why Mundo is now a hidden OP is the double Giant's Belt into Heartsteel. 2 Giant's Belt first rotation, well not first rotation, but early in the game, has an insane spike for you, much better than anything else. Remember, all of our spells scale with HP, so the more you have, the more damage you do. That's why you're trying to fuse it with your healing overall from your ultimate, you're in your passive canister. Always try and pick that up at level 16 plus. You want to pick that up because it's immediately refreshed and you're going to be rolling in late game team fights when they have a lot of CC. Know when you need to peel, know when you need to split push on turrets and smash your head, and obviously understand if you have peel on your team or your team are busy doing something else, there ain't nothing stopping you running down an ADC and saying hello and goodbye. Or as Mundo would like to say it, blah, 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 blah. Alright, as you can see, I love Dr. Mundo more than most things. Zed, however, I do not enjoy, but most of you will. Yes, Electrocute is back on the menu, boys, although you can also go a different build we'll talk about in a second. Now, with the Electrocute page, we want to go more typical assassin, and he's one of the few that are rushing that Voltaic Cycle Sword, giving us that slow and energized attack using, the dashes that we have from the W, but you're not looking to go too hard early. He's an overall great power farmer who's an amazing level 6 kill threat. Don't be afraid to try and gank because you have such a quick combo with that W. You can already prime your E with that. Learning how to do the fluid Z combos is the most important thing. And because of the spike and the nerfs he's had, throughout the last year or so, he might feel weaker early, which is why you kind of want to farm a little bit more on the champion. He's a little bit like that Mundo and Pantheon fused together. You take the early passive nature of the Mundo clears, but you also want, once you get 6 and get a little bit of a lead, to use a skirmishing and aggression of the Pantheon. That's because his damage ramp up is absolutely insane. Not to mention, again, the amount of mobility he has, which makes him a really good teamfight monster, but also a really good objective control abuser, as he can use his W over the walls to steal, to go in and out, to just shove at grubs and take stuff away. I don't know why he's doing this, but hey, he is. And obviously those level 6 dives with the ultimate, R resets aggro on the turret, you're looking at dead ADCs. Now, talking about the build a little bit, yeah, Voltaic Cyclo Sword into the Eclipse, into the Cerildas. If you need an Edge of Night, you can go that. Axiom is something that has been thrown around just a little bit, but you'll see I just went for a standard build to show you. However, there's also the Bruiser tech quickly. We have Conqueror, and we're gonna put the Booties Cosmic because they just damn well work in the jungle insanely well. You can obviously go for your Nimbus Cloak, your Absolute Focus, your Gathering the Storm, your Scourge, if you wanted to. You can also go Secondary Domination, although that's much weaker. Really, it's up to you and your play style. I have seen a lot of Scorch and Nimbus from some of the OTPs that are doing this. However, the itemization is, as you can see, Eclipse, Shoutout for mega haste on those basic abilities, and Cerilda's Grudge for absolute, shredding and domination, plus slows. So yeah, a really great pick if you understand Zed and understand jungle. Again, not a power pick like he used to be back in the day, and that's fine because the champion is a little bit obnoxious, we all know that. But some fun can be had here and some LP can be gained. If you're looking for a bit more of a direct focus into your LP domination, and you really truly love lethal tempo more than life itself, I don't know why you would, but maybe you do. Trundle, as you can see, is the way to go. Yeah, I know a lot of people meme a lot of picks in this game, and that's largely because they simply, 1, have no clue how to maximize it, and 2, have no idea how to play it. The win rate data on him here is pretty solid. Lethal Tempo being buffed again is really good for him. You're gonna rush that Tiamat, you're gonna go into Titanic Hydra, and then you can just go tank. You can also go for the Trinity Force Titanic into tank. You have a lot of different varieties here in terms of half tank or full fighter. I like both variations and both serve their purpose. Remember, it was not really a great pick before the Lethal Tempo. However, with the game making everybody tankier by taking damage out of it and giving him more DPS, he most notably likes to steal resistances with his ultimate. So if games are going on longer and champions are atomizing a bit more with that tankiness, even if they're a damage dealer, you've got these weird tank building ADCs sometimes showing up, Trundle says, well, that sounds lovely, doesn't it? Actually, I have no idea what he sounds like. He probably talks like he looks. The goal is simply to get fed at a higher level than anybody else on the map. And if that means you need a full sequence on Tiamat, focus grubs, and then focus on split pushing, you do it. If it means you do need to gank a little bit more, please go for it. But the idea is, again, Frozen Domain, that W, fast map rotation with movement speed boost, high DPS with the attack speed boost, and the Tiamat giving Chump City and Nom City. And basically that can be used on champions or turrets. I can only stress here the most important thing is to not go into situations where you're going to be kited out. The Lethal Tempo is really amazing when you can actually get into range and fist and melees, or actually stick to the targets you're trying to attack in the range compartment. But that's what your Pillar of Ice is for. You shove it where the sun don't shine and you make sure you stick to people with that W. And that's why I kind of like the Red Smite. I know it's a little cheeky and not the most effective a lot of the times, but on Warwicks and Trundles, the Red Smite just gives you that extra stickiness if you want to build more so into the Tiamats and the Titanics where you don't have that stickability. Recognize when you need to split, try and focus all grubs and heralds, macro your way into a great team fight, have a huge experience advantage, and you will now out-split push, out-tempo, and out-challenge everybody. You basically rival or even exceed at some point because of the chomp and turrets, the Belveth split pushes. There is a lot to like with the aggression on this champion. However, don't get stuck into FK ganking or FK invading. You are looking to sequence and play around your farm and econ. That's the most important thing. And much like that of the Trundle and the Pantheon and things like this, we have Jax in the jungle. Champion's really strong, he is going to be nerfed, it's not going to hurt his jungle too much. You will notice these nerfs, but if you just go ahead and run Lethal Tempo like I told you, Conqueror is a go-to, but Lethal Tempo is just nutty. But please think about what meta junglers are. What are they doing? We have Nocturnes, Graves, Lee Sins, Viegos, and so on. And what does Jax have? Oh right, his E, which blocks auto attacks, and there's a lot of auto attacks in the champions I just stated. And so a lot of these off-meta godly junglers really have a great place against that which you're gonna see most often. But not only is Counter-Strike great, and again, that's a max HP damage spell, and if you block stuff, it's a higher max HP damage spell, so people really need to stop hitting you, but they won't, and so you get more damage. But not only that, since you are a notorious duelist on the top lane, he can also fight those skirmisher junglers without much stress in doing so. Your leap strike, your stun, your amplification on the W bonk, these things give you so much ability to actually just out-duel the meta junglers without stress. And because his E blocks part of the damage from AoE spells as well, if you're against an AP jungler, you don't really care. And the difference between, say, you and Trundle here is that you're not bound to picking the Tiamat to clear the jungle. You can simply opt into Trinity Force, first item, and then you can basically go into your obnoxiously lovely Sundered Sky. And because he's such an auto-attack based champion, people don't realize, wait a second, the WE and R scale with the AP? Yes, they do. So while Spellcaster Jax is not very effective, we want to amplify a passive, the AD scaling on our Leap Strike and the Q, and obviously we want to maximize the passive we have on our ultimate, which is a 3-hit passive upgraded to a 2-hit passive on auto attacks. There ain't nothing wrong with you going, and I do recommend this, the Zhonya's third. Why? Because yeah, you could have Shojin to amplify your cooldowns a little bit, but then you might not be able to have the stasis. In this particular case, if you hit people with your ultimate, remember, you gain bonus resistances. You do damage, and you gain the bonus resistances. So why not get a stasis that we can then use our cooldowns around that and become more obnoxious than the sole surviving mosquito in the winter months who refuses to die and keeps sucking your blood. Literally right on my neck 2 days ago. Can you just die already? Where are you? But truly that build path, mosquitoes aside, is incredible. High versatility, great sustain, great survivability. But what's interesting about the player that we found when we looked at research for this as well, and I've also covered him on the gameplay channel talking about a full gameplay with this Jax build and this playstyle, so I'll leave a link to that in the description below. You're not looking to AFK farm here, you're looking to be really active early. 3 camp ganks and invades, snowballing. Yeah, you can full clear, you don't have to do that, but it's basically diversity of your own choice. What does the game require? Execute it. Can I split push, team fight? Do I just go and invade and kill people? Do I need to gank more? He has everything. But this player likes to go flat HP instead of HP scaling, and this is to amplify the passive on the pets allow him to clear faster, and have better durability in those skeletal fights as well. Truly a well-rounded jungler, not only in isolation, but also against the meta. All the champions in this video can do everything necessary to thrive and survive in League of Legends as we know it at the moment. They are godly, they are powerful, but there is one more hidden OP pick that is no longer hidden. It is becoming supremely strong, and that's Teemo. And I did a full video on that for junglers to learn how to jungle and play Teemo right in this video here.
Go on, click it. Watch the Satan. Satan spawns, or watch this video again, but mostly click this one. Click it now.